All right, Free Radicals, welcome back. My name is Dave, and this is the Radical Independent. Thank you for tuning in. I'm over on Twitter, and my friend Shauna tweeted this out. This is a very blurry-looking Bernie Sanders, but this video here is very disturbing if you are living in the reality that most Tulsi Gabbard fans are living in right now, which is their candidate has been canceled since she entered the race over a year ago. And Bernie Sanders is doing a campaign rally where he says this.
As some of you know, that at the beginning of this campaign, there were some 18 candidates contesting for the Democratic nomination. Well, we're down to 2.
We're down to 2. We're down to 2. Now, let that sink in a little bit. Breathe it in like it's a harsh chemical, because it is. Breathe it in and think to yourself, WTF, Bernie? I don't want to vote for this guy. I'm done. I'm done. Senator Bernie Sanders, there were 18 candidates contesting. Well, we're down to 2. So Tulsi Gabbard, a woman of color, a combat veteran, a Hindu. By the way, a lot of Hindu phobia out there, and wasn't really talked about by too many of these great progressive commentators out there. They would worry about, Tulsi's relationship with Modi, though. That was a big topic within so-called progressive media. On their way to basically attempting to nominate Elizabeth Warren, who dropped out yesterday. Worst candidate in my lifetime, Elizabeth Warren. Would not vote for Elizabeth Warren for dog catcher. Nope, sorry. Look, people vote for various reasons for candidates. Policy proposals, personality, like their demeanor toward other human beings, and the condescending ivory tower, I'm a supreme feminist, everything that goes wrong, and this plays right into the Hillary Clinton playbook, it's because I'm a woman. Tulsi Gabbard never uses that rhetoric, very rarely. She is, though, pointing out to people that, hey, I happen to be a woman over here. Hello? Anybody notice this? Well, all the women have dropped out. There are no more women running for president. It's not funny. It's not funny. And, I'm trying to cut back on the vodka before doing these videos, and I was made fun of quite a bit in a couple of the videos, but the point being, and it's a really good, valid point, is now Bernie Sanders and his campaign has decided to pretend that Tulsi isn't there. She's gone. So it's like Bernie Sanders is CNN now. Well, it was John King over at CNN who at least talked about the fact that Tulsi picked up a delegate, so you can't be running for president, right, if you didn't pick up a delegate. And it's debatable whether she has 1 or 2 delegates. It doesn't really matter. Jimmy Dore says basically for Tulsi to get into the next debate, it's going to be how many delegates Tulsi Gabbard has plus 1 more. The whole thing. Now, the conditioning is different from the rigging, and I want to be careful because I got into a bit of a Twitter feud or discussion about conditioning. You can be conditioned all day long by the media to think one candidate is better than the other. That's been going on for decades. So the conditioning is out there. The rigging, I think the rigging is where a superdelegate comes along and cancels out the will of the people. Or a voting machine switches a vote. That's rigging. Okay, conditioning is something that you and I can overcome because we can do research. We don't have to get our media from the same sources that everyone else gets their media from. And we can tell our friends and neighbors, hey, that's not true, and here's the scoop. I mean, you've got to be active. I get the premise, though, that propaganda is extremely effective. Otherwise, Joseph Goebbels and Woodrow Wilson wouldn't have used it so effectively. All right, and one copied the other. And it was Goebbels that copied Wilson, by the way. My final point here, because this is really very short and easy to understand, Bernie Sanders can't be trusted if he's doing something like this. He can't be trusted. He's not a trustworthy, he's not, an honest actor. He's out there saying stuff that isn't true, and he's canceling out an ally, somebody who would probably say, you know what, Bernie, I disagree with you on a bunch of stuff, but you're way better than the guy who can't get through a sentence. But you continue to pander to neoliberals when it comes to foreign policy, number one, and the Russiagate narrative, number two, and the fact that Trump is more dangerous than anybody on planet Earth, except, no, that's not true. Donald Trump is not more dangerous than Kim Jong-un. All right, so he's not the most dangerous man on earth. In fact, I'd rather see someone negotiating with Kim than ramping up some kind of, preemptive war with North Korea. Same goes with Russia, by the way. And that's the other thing that I just can't do anymore. I can't do this, Bernie. I cannot do Russiagate. I cannot do Putin is the worst person on earth. And not because he sends me vodka every week. He hasn't bought me off. But the idea that working and again, cooperating with other nations that might be a little difficult for us to do because, they're very good negotiators and they want what they want. They're sovereign countries. And if we're really going to recognize like the UN version of the world, not completely, but in the sense that we understand that each country has its own right to self-determination. But when it comes to certain people, Maduro, Putin, that goes out the window. You know why it goes out the window? Because you're placating. You're placating. What you're doing is you're doing the old pivot over to the center a little bit and saying, hey, mainstream media, don't worry. I really like Castro's literacy program, but a dictator like him, no, we're going to have to do a preemptive strike. Maybe if he had suggested a preemptive strike on the Castro regime, that would have went over better for Bernie. Probably not, though. Look, I can't do duplicitous. This is duplicitous. And I can't do it. Jimmy Dore's been right. He did a whole great spiel on this. I covered it yesterday. My friend Shauna, obviously, tweeting this out. The fact that people continue to ignore Tulsi Gabbard. She is the strongest voice left. In fact, she's the voice of reason. She had a way to get Trump out of office or to actually damage Donald Trump with a censure resolution, which was completely ignored. You know why? Because the Democrats are guilty of the same stuff. So they did not want to bring that to the floor for a vote. That's why it never went anywhere. Bernie Sanders did not have that kind of backbone. No, he's looking for Vladimir Putin behind every tree. And the media, again, which is ironic, is they've already launched Bernie is a Russian agent, or at least, a little bit of that. And Bernie's trying to counter by saying, no, under my administration, Putin will not be a factor. I will not pretend that I like Putin like Trump. He's an autocrat and a thug. Okay. So how are you going to fix climate change if you can't cooperate with Russia, Bernie? It goes on and on. There are so many contradictions here. But Tulsi Gabbard is now being canceled by Bernie Sanders. That's what this is. Tulsi Gabbard is officially being canceled by Bernie Sanders. So, there you go. Spread it around. Talk amongst yourselves. Decide for yourself, is this guy worth voting for? Because I can't trust him. And if I can't trust somebody, I'm not going to vote for them. Do you understand? I can't trust this guy. beyond the policy issues, you think you're going to get Medicare for all? He's not an honest negotiator. He's not telling the truth. He's not living in reality. How are you going to get that done if you can't get like harmony between Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders? Because Bernie, he sees a little daylight and he's going to try to run through that door. And by the way, that door is closing even though he's running against a guy who's probably got some onset Parkinson's or some kind of thing which prevents him from completing sentences and being coherent. But guess what? This is how strong Bernie is. If he were a stronger candidate, I think he could peel off a few of those people that have decided to vote for the mannequin. The crash test dummy, Joe Biden. That's what he is. He's a crash test dummy. He's saying, oh. You might see him in a commercial for, public safety in your neighborhood. Joe Biden as the crash test dummy. Bernie Sanders is a dummy too. He's a dummy when it comes to this stuff. Bernie, stop it, dude. Stop it. Tulsi is still in the race. She's got a unique message, and that's why she remains. And Tulsi supporters are getting more and more frustrated with Bernie Sanders and are deciding in large numbers to just say, nope, sorry, Bern. Don't feel the burn. The burn has left the building. And that's my video on this topic. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm still losing subscribers according to YouTube, although the numbers don't look like I'm losing, but they're doing like the last 30 days, and I took a big hit about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So if you can subscribe, you can also donate, which Christine did. Thank you, Christine. And Michael did. Thank you so much. They were large donations. Not 6-figure. They weren't like Bloomberg-sized donations, but they were, for me, they were Bloomberg-ish. So I appreciate the generosity of both Michael and Christine and a few others that have donated smaller amounts. I understand a lot of people who watch this, they don't have a lot of money. They were actually hoping that maybe somebody could negotiate maybe Medicare for all or Medicare for most, or at least some free access to health care where you didn't have to pay a bill when you showed up. But that's becoming less and less of a reality as each day passes by because you've got a guy that people can't trust. That's my video. Thanks for watching.